Okay, so today we're going to take the birch bowl that I made last week, which was very rough, and we're going to give it some sanding to refine this shape and smooth it out and to thin everything right down. Now, up until now we've done everything with hand tools, but now I'm going to use machine tools to sand it and get the final shape. Now, you might find that a little bit disappointing, some of you. You might think, well, it'd be nicer if we did that all with hand tools. And there is a bit of virtue, I suppose, in doing things all the old-fashioned way. But if you think about it, I didn't carve this with flint tools, did I? I used steel chisels and axes to cut this. So, you know, I was already using modern equipment to cut this bowl. And so I don't feel bad about using even more modern equipment to finish it off. So let's get started. So we're going to use the 80 grit flap wheel to sand out the inside of this bowl. And we'll be careful to use it so that the direction follows the grain. So at the start of this video you saw me take this out of a paper bag. Now that's because I was working on green wood when I made this bowl, and if you dry it out too quickly it can crack very easily. However, if you put it in a paper bag it will buffer the atmosphere and it means it dries out that much more slowly, and hopefully we avoid cracking. And it's only taken about a week for this to dry out to probably a usable state. It's probably got some more moisture to shed still, but we can actually work on it with ordinary tools and methods now. So I've carved it with the axe and then sanded it with the rotary sanders, and all that's left to do now is a bit of hand sanding and then finishing. Now interestingly, where the tree had a bit of a twist in it, the bowl has got a bit of a twist in it, so let's see if I can actually show you that. So you can see this end is tilted that way and that end is tilted that way, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's given it a little bit of a quirky charm. It's obviously made it look so it's very much a handmade bowl and very much rough and ready, but I quite like that. So anyway, we're just going to start off with 40 grit sandpaper, and then we'll work up to probably 240 grit sandpaper until we get a smooth finish, get all of these little imperfections out, and then we can put some finish on it. Wipe over with a soft cloth. There are two reasons for that. One is that I just want to get rid of any dust that's on there before I start adding wax, but also this cloth will tell me if there's any protruding grain, because it would snag, and it's not. It's lovely and snag free and smooth. So that's the bowl prior to finishing. It's still, we could have gone a lot smoother with the finish, but I don't want to. I think actually I'm happy with where we've got to. So I'm going to be polishing it with Natural Earth Oils wax polish. This is a wax polish made from edible waxes and oils. It's designed for salad bowls, and it's a solid wax paste that we just put onto a little piece of cloth. We just put that on a little piece of cloth. We just rub the cloth onto the top of the wax and it will start to melt from the friction. And then we just work it into the surface of the wood. I want this to soak in quite nicely because it's got to provide protection from, I don't know, I might take this bowl out and pick berries into it or something. So it's got to provide a little bit of protection for the wood, a little bit of resistance to things like juice from apple pieces and all sorts of other things I might eat out of it. So we'll give it a good dose of wax with one cloth, and then we'll wipe it off with a different cloth. But it's already, the wax is just bringing out a little bit more of the beauty of the grain of this birch timber, as well as it's highlighting the imperfections in my carving, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. Actually, it's quite a nice thing to have something that is as good as it needs to be and no more. That's nice. It smells good too. I don't know what's actually in this wax polish. I think it might be a blend of beeswax and coconut oil and linseed oil or something like that. It just adds a very slightly golden sheen to the timber, as well as soaking in, protecting it from damage and staining. If you've been watching many of my videos, you might recognise where this offcut of material comes from. That's particularly the end grain that needs a bit more wax because it will soak in more on this exposed end grain here, and obviously on the inside as well. Right, so we'll just leave that to soak in for a bit and dry, and then we'll give it a buff with another cloth. I mean, we might give it another coat of wax, but we may not need to. So that's turned into actually quite a nice little bowl, and I think I might take that with me when I'm going out on picnics in future, and maybe that's my picnic bowl now. I think there's actually something quite nice about this in terms of portion size as well. There's essentially 2 handfuls of food there, which I think is probably enough for any meal. So now that that's had a chance to dry, I'm just going to buff it over with a clean cloth. And it just brings out a soft sheen to that wax polish. That's really nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm quite pleased with that. So I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.